work-life boundaries, also known as the present split. So the study draws from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as well as the placemaking theory, which became the foundations that guided the study's three main research questions. So this is research question 1, research question 2, and research question 3. So simply put, the framework connects remote work challenges to co-working design using users' experiences to shape a new building typology. The conceptual framework shows how these theories were applied throughout the study, starting with existing home-based work challenges, leading to placemaking principles informed by environmental psychology and the user-centered spatial interventions targeting post-pandemic workers. So the three main design goals is here, leading to the impact of enhanced well-being, productivity, and resilience towards the envisioned community-oriented hybrid co-working hub. The methodological framework is a sequential exploratory mixed method was used and divided into phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 used a quantitative survey to assess post-pandemic workers' perception of comfort, community, and environmental satisfaction, while phase 2 audited and observed 24-hour co-working spaces in Davao City. The study identifies four main post-pandemic workers: freelancers, fully remote workers, hybrid workers, and skeletal workers. Oh my gosh, thanks. And then as the nature of work continues to change, the literature highlights that the parallel evolution of workspaces from traditional offices to open plan designs and ultimately to a flexible workspace. So, to represent post-pandemic workers, 338 respondents were selected from the 2,110 DOLE-listed hybrid workers using Concurrence formula. And the results of the survey showed that most of the respondents were Gen Z professionals, reflecting the rise of young freelancers, and it was also found that women were more likely to prefer remote or hybrid work. In terms of occupation, most of the respondents were fully remote workers, and many worked non-standard hours and commuted due to limited home workspaces. To understand, I conducted a 4-scale Likert survey, and these are the results. For people aspect, autonomy and flexibility ranked the highest. For procedures, they viewed co-working spaces as more than just places to work, but a place for socialization. Place aspect, respondent favored that biophilic spaces improve focus and well-being, and their activity patterns showed that while spaces supported focused work, they offered limited flexibility for other work modes. So the statistics confirm two things. First, all post-pandemic workers shared similar workspace needs. Second, better engagement with workspace led to better well-being, stronger community, and a higher satisfaction. To better understand the numbers, I asked the respondents two open-ended questions. Most choose to work from home because of convenience, family responsibilities, and affordabilities. As for what affects the motivation, the biggest challenges include noise, distraction, isolation, and emotional fatigue from remote work. And their motivation improves with having personal spaces and having food or cafe nearby. And that answers research question 1. This is to better summarize that the Likert results tells us that workers want flexible space that support their well-being, while the statistics show that more people engage with their workspace, the better they feel. This is the key challenges faced by post-pandemic workers. And so even with flexible work, the challenges still remain, which leads to the next question: how well do existing co-working spaces respond? So to find out, I visited and observed 24-hour co-working spaces across Davao City. It is shown on the screen here. And this was the spatial inventory checklist I used. And across the 7 working spaces, I was able to identify 5 recurring spatial zones that could be grouped into 2 main environments: individual work as well as collaborative spaces. So zoning alone wasn't enough. I also wanted to understand how these spaces actually function. So I analyzed their floor plan, occupancy, activity patterns, both during peak and non-peak hours. One pattern became clear. People stayed where they could concentrate and only passed through spaces meant for socializing or taking breaks. Even with their seating choices reflected the same pattern, people prioritized privacy and focus over open collaboration. Eight seating layouts were also observed, but the real insight wasn't the furniture, it was the people's behavior. User consistently chose less crowded seats, revealing that even in shared spaces, personal space still matters. And when we look at the spaces themselves, another pattern emerges. Most co-working spaces, about 83%, were designed for individual work, with only 17% dedicated to collaboration. And the interesting part is that working spaces were built for individual work, but users increasingly wanted collaborative ones. Once everything came together, clear patterns began to emerge, and these became the final and the foundation of the final design. So the patterns reveal that a successful working space isn't just functional, it should make people feel comfortable, connected, restored, flexible, and inspired. At first glance, it looks balanced, but if you really look at it, almost everything resolved around focused work, spaces for connection, rest, and collaboration became secondary. So now the question becomes, what would a co-working space look like if it were designed around people and not just productivity? The solution wasn't to remove focus spaces, it was to restore balance. So I proposed a 60-40 spatial mix, 60% collaboration and shared experiences, and 40% for a focused individual work. I asked a simple question: if people could design their ideal workspaces, what would it include? And their answers revealed 10 recurring themes as seen here. Beyond the layout, the environment itself mattered. Noise, lighting, and privacy shared the entire work experience. So the design directly responds with better acoustics, more natural light, ergonomic workstations, and flexible private spaces. After all the surveys, observation, and analysis, I finally had a clear picture of what this space should feel like. This is the visual concept that captures the flexibility, connection, and well-being that post-pandemic workers need, leading to my design plan. A proposed hybrid typology hub co-working hub typology in Davao City, Sync Spaces. Before designing the building, I first had to find the right place, one that was accessible, well-connected, and comfortable for its future users. Located near Gaisano Mall in Davao City, the site is surrounded by commercial establishments, schools, offices, and public transportation. And from there, I analyzed the site's noise, views, and transportation connections to guide the building's design. The hybrid co-working hub focuses on three main points: optimizing indoor environmental quality to support well-being, introducing hybrid transition zones that accommodate to changing work behaviors, and establishing a collaborative-led spatial distribution. From the 8 observed common seating layout, 2 types of furniture were derived. Type A controlled seating highlighting high control and regulated work conditions, while Type B is an open seating on a micro scale, both which gives user options depending on what they need. So this is for linear desks, for focus pods, for collaborative clusters, for lounges, shared linear desks, window seats, booth seating, and for circulation adjacent desks. Guided by the furniture analysis and IEQ findings, I developed a flexible spatial module that adapt to different ways of working, whether they needed to focus, collaborate, or simply rest. This is an example of how the zoning reflects a gradient of interaction with quieter focused work areas located along the edges, transitioning towards a more collaborative space. Based on the derived needed for the 60-40 ratio, the building was able to follow the intended spatial distribution, and the actual distribution shows a slight deviation of around 46% due to spatial and functional requirements, so still maintaining the intended balance. Sync Spaces is a new paradigm for co-working, designed around people rather than productivity alone. In order to bring that idea to life, the form evolves step by step, responding to the site, climate, and ultimately its users. The Sync emphasizes a community for freelance workers reflected in its branding through circular forms that represent connection and flexibility. This concept extends to its wayfinding system, using color to intuitively distinguish spaces for work and rest. So the isometric view shows how the building is organized vertically from public to private spaces with amenities strategically placed to support different user needs. As the building becomes more private, so does its amenities, starting with social spaces like lobbies and cafes and ending with wellness-focused areas above. And here are the different offered amenities with the lobby, the parents' work pod, and the kids' play area, as well as the ground floor working spaces, the social lounge and open workspace, the fresh bar and cafe located in the second floor, a balcony to the workspaces, and the third and fourth working space, and the focus work area, and the fifth and sixth floor co-working space, as well as some of the co-working amenities, including an indoor gym, wellness room, and a nap area. The 24-hour operation isn't just an amenity, it is a reflection of the people it was designed for. This thesis began with a bunch of questions about how people work, and it ends with a vision of how architecture can respond. Again, I am Veronica M. Garduque, and this is 6%.